I'm going to start with a poem by James Whitcomb Riley. Before I read this poem, I want you to understand that everything I'm going to read means a lot to me. And I hope for you, you have an aunt or a grandmother or somebody in your childhood that you can identify with these words. Wasn't it pleasant, O brother of mine, in those old days of lost sunshine, of youth when the Saturday chores were through and the Sunday wood in the kitchen too, and we went visiting, me and you, out at old Aunt Mary's. It all comes back so clear today, though I'm as bald as you are gray. Oh, by the barn lot and down the lane we patter along in the dust again, as light as the tips of the drops of rain, out at old Aunt Mary's. We crossed the pasture and through the wood, where the old gray snag of the poplar stood, where the hammering redheads hopped awry, the buzzard raised in the clearing sky, and lolled and circled as we went by, out at old Aunt Mary's. And then in the dust of the road again, the teams we met and the countrymen, and the long highway and the sunshine spread, as thick as butter on country bread, our cares behind, our hearts ahead, out at old Aunt Mary's. Why, I see her now in the open door, where the little gourds grew up the sides and o'er the clapboard roof, and her face on me. Wasn't it good for a boy to see? Wasn't it good for a boy to be? Out at old Aunt Mary's. The jelly, the jam, and the marmalade, the cherry quince preserves she made, the sweet sour pickles of peach and pear, with cinnamon in them and all things rare. And the more we ate was the more to spare, out at old Aunt Mary's. In the old spring house, in the cool green gloom of the willow trees in the cooler room, where the swinging shelves and the crocks were kept, where the cream and the golden languor slept, while the waters gurgled and laughed and wept, out at old Aunt Mary's. And as many a time have you and I, barefoot boys in days gone by, knelt in tremulous ecstasies, dipped our lips into sweets like these. Memory now is on her knees, out at old Aunt Mary's. And oh, my brother, so far away, this is to tell you she waits today to welcome us. Aunt Mary fell asleep this morning, whispering, tell the boys to come and all is well, out at old Aunt Mary's. I hope you had somebody in your life like that. I had a grandmother, and 64 when those memories still affect me. Back in Robert's heyday, and when I was just a little bit younger, we had a thing called beatniks. And they kind of happened in Greenwich Village. And if you wonder where that kind of daddy-o and stuff came from, it was the beatniks that started all that stuff before the rock hit and things like that. There was a guy named Robert Zimmerman who later changed his name to Bob Dylan. He took Dylan Thomas's surname. And he wrote a song. And there were some troubadours during that time. 47 years ago, I used to spin records. And I remember this one record I spun by a group called Peter, Paul, and Mary. I think it was Puff the Magic Dragon, if I remember correctly. But they went on to sing the songs that most people didn't sing. They sang songs about change. They sang songs about war. They sang songs about things this country needed to do before it was popular. Mary Travers died this week, Wednesday. And she was quite a gal. My question is, who will sing those songs now? Who will be the troubadours? Bob Dylan wrote the words to this song, and for those of you that can remember her voice, because it was a big part of Peter, Paul, and Mary. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, how many times must cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friends, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, how many times can a man turn his head pretending he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Dedicate that to Murray Travers, died Wednesday, 72 years old, cancer. Robert Zimmerman, before he changed his name, did a whole bunch of things, but he's an interesting guy. He was a Jew, a Russian Jew, became a Christian, then went back to being a Jew. So the guy could change, you know, change was part of him. The reason I thought of this poem and these lyrics, I've been thinking about it all week, is because so many people are talking about stuff going on. Is it this? Is it that? Why are people polarized and things? In 1974, I was taking sociology in college. And I remember our sociology instructor said, it's all about change. We're going to have change like you wouldn't believe in the future. Cults are going to be forming. People will polarize. Change will cripple people. It'll affect the families, which in turn affects our cities and our states and the country. And the world, for that matter. So these lyrics just popped out to me because they're apropos for today. So I'm going to exert my best, write that down, and see how I do with it. Come gather round people wherever you roam and admit that the waters around you have grown, except that it soon will be drenched to the bone. If your time is worth saving, you better start swimming or you sink like a stone, because the times, they are changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling that it's ending. For the loser now, to later to win, for the times, they are a-changing. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he that who stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging. I'll soon shake your windows and rattle your halls, for the times they are a-changing. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. The old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one. If you can't lend a hand, for the times, they are a-changing. The line is drawn, the curse is cast, the slow one now will later be fast, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, the first one now will later be last, for the times, they are a-changing. I think that's almost apropos for today, and that was written 5 years ago by Dylan. When I took poetry in college, they said, most good poetry doesn't rhyme. Most good poetry is this and most good poetry is that. And I said, wait a minute, what happens if I feel something with the poem? What happens if it emotes something within, or exerts something within me? And there's some lyrics to songs, and I just did a couple of them here, but this one I was reticent about doing. But it conjures up with me some feelings that maybe some of you could identify with. Have you ever lost a love? Have you ever lost somebody that hurt so bad that your insides felt empty? You looked at a bench and you thought of that person. Or a window, and suddenly you thought, my God, can I think of anything? Well, that's what these lyrics remind me of. It's a song by Roy Orbison, for those those of you that remember him from 1964. Golden days before they end, whisper secrets to the wind. Your baby won't be near you anymore. Tender nights before they fly, send falling stars that seem to cry, your baby doesn't want you anymore. It's over. It breaks your heart in two to know that she's been untrue, but oh, what will you do when she says to you, we're through, it's over. All the rainbows in the sky start to weep and then say goodbye. You won't be seeing rainbows anymore. Setting suns before they fall echo to you, that's all, that's all. And you'll see lonely sunsets after all. It's over. Those lyrics captured some feelings that I had. Hopefully maybe you don't ever have those kind of feelings. I have one poem here I'm reticent of reading because it's so damn difficult. So I'll read an easy one first. Everybody heard of Ogden Nash? Oh, the turtle lives twixt plated decks, which practically conceals its sex. Isn't it clever of the turtle in such a fix to be so fertile? That's kind of his thing. But this is one that I think we all can identify with. Do we have any end? Yes, we have an ND here? Do we know? No, we don't. Okay. Well, I won't change this MD to ND there. Go hang yourself, you old MD. You shall not sneer at me. Pick up your hat and stethoscope. Go wash your mouth with laundry soap. I contemplate a joy exquisite. I'm not paying for your visit. I did not call you to be told my malady's a common cold. By pounding brow and swollen lip, by fever hot and scaly grip, by those red redundant eyes that weep with woeful April skies, by rackling sniffle, snort and sniff, my handkerchief after handkerchief, this cold you wave away at naught is the damnedest cold man ever caught. Give ear, you scientific fossil. Here's a genuine cold colossal, the cold of which researchers dream, the perfect cold, the cold supreme. This honored system humbly holds the super cold to end all colds. The cold crusading for democracy, the furor of steptocracy. Bacilli swarm within my portals, such as were ne'er conceived by mortals, but bred by scientists wise and hoary in some Olympic laboratory. Bacteria as large as mice, with feet of fire and heads of ice, who never interrupt for slumber their stamping Alateen rumba. A common cold gadzooks, forsooth, oh yes, and Lincoln jostled by Booth. Don Juan was a budding gallant, and Shakespeare's plays show signs of talent. The Arctic winter is fairly coolish, and your diagnosis is fairly foolish. Oh, what a derision history holds for the man who belittled the common cold. I see by my light I don't have enough time to do my difficult poem. I'll tell you what it was, though. It was Dylan Thomas's Don't Go Gentle into the Night, the most difficult poem I've ever tried to read. But thank you very much. Oh, I'm not supposed to say thank you. Madam Toastmaster.